take our picture?
No.
Oh.
Is Tom Hanks selling his house? Or his wife? Don't they live across from the Catholic cemetery?
No.
In like Woody Hunt's old house?
No,
No.
No?
in Higginbottom.
So if you look at Woody Hunt's old house, which side would they be?
2 down that way going.
Okay, well, the one, Woody Hunt's old house is for sale.
He's got that brick ranch. Well, he had.
The
No, I think Woody's.
Oh, we will, we'll turn them
So we can hear you.
on. How do you turn them on?
With that little button.
White button.
You turn yours on, then I don't need to turn mine. If you turn yours on, they can hear me. They can hear me.
Well, let's call this meeting to order. Would all stand and for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, quit screaming. If those are some little
What do you mean?
Mine's down.
Somebody's squealing. Can you hear me?
We get roll call?
All right. Sarah Tiley. Here. Deanna Coots.
Here?
Christine Newman.
Here.
Richard Horner.
Here.
Diane Dennis.
Here.
Jim McPhail.
Here.
Lois Tiley.
Are there any changes to the agenda?
There's one addition, Mr. President. Under new business, we added F, repair of 1991 International dump truck. And I did lay out an updated agenda for everyone.
Any other changes?
That was it.
Here, motion to approve
I'll make
the agenda?
the motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I'll support. I don't know if I should bring this. Can I talk about the agenda?
No. Not yet.
Not yet, okay.
Okay,
We need to
We need to
vote.
vote. We need to vote.
oh, okay.
All in favor?
All those, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Move on to announcements and public comments. Mrs. McPhail, would you please step forward? You've got 3 minutes.
There's a circle button in the middle. If you push it, it'll.
Do I have to push it
Yes, yep.
over here?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm up here about the sidewalk repair program. It's my understanding that last month in November, the recorded minutes state that there is a program for sidewalk replacement repair. Our sidewalk in front of our house is terrible. The kids use it as a jump. It's been repaired multiple times over the years, and we have submitted a bid for the sidewalk that we've already replaced when they did my driveway, and it crumbled when they tried to do it, so of course we had to pay for it. And I'm just asking that it be presented tonight for vote. It's apparently 304 is being up for vote tonight, and ours has been put aside because of a conflict, because my husband is on the board. We just want fair treatment. It's a hazard. People are gonna step over it. It has, literally, they came out and put an orange stripe across it, and they have put asphalt on it. It slopes. Obviously, the tree was what had brought the sidewalk up. I don't feel it's my responsibility to have to pay for it. I don't feel it was my responsibility to have to pay for the 3 places that were replaced in my driveway. And if we're gonna give 304 Hosmer Street a fair chance, we need to give our sidewalk a fair chance. I have read the emails. I know that it's supposed to be that they're gonna vote on hers tonight and then possibly revamp the rules and the regulations. maybe change the laws, so maybe ours can't be replaced, but it cost me $900 to replace the 3 sections. All I want is for you guys to replace the rest of it. It's 15 feet, 15 feet. I mean, it's, if somebody trips over it and who's gonna get sued? Me or you? I'm not gonna get sued. It's not my sidewalk. You know, so that's what I've come up here to have my consideration for. 3 minutes?
Pretty close.
Nobody's gonna gavel me? I won't be able to stick around for the ending of it though.
There's a circle button up there.
I can't see them short.
Sorry. Oh, there it is. I can hear it now.
Any other comments or Mr. Gardner? Please step up. You've got 3 minutes.
Is it on?
It is on.
At the last council meeting, I made the suggestion that we get a group together to kind of decide and maybe clearly delineate whose responsibility it is to take care of what in relationship to the Beautification Day kinds of projects. Our first Beautification Day meeting is the 23rd of January, and I think it would be a good idea if we could have that group get together, and I see that group only meeting once, just to figure out who's responsible for doing what. And I think it would be a good idea if we had that group meet before the 23rd of January and try to get that settled. I think it would also be a good idea if we invited somebody from the Township Board, somebody from the DDA, maybe a couple members of the council, some people from the Beautification Day Committee, and try to get some ownership of who's responsible for doing what. Okay? That's first thing. Second thing I'd like to know is what's the status of 628 Flint Street?
They're going to be receiving a ticket tomorrow morning.
And that will
And the
do-
neighbor as well.
And that will do,
That will start a court process. So we'll write the ticket. Rob Kehoe will write the ticket. We will take it to our attorney, and then our attorney will file the ticket with the district court with a motion to compel them to comply with our village ordinances.
okay? So by January, there should be something done.
There should be something done. Yeah, it should be taken care of. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. Anyone else? Okay, we'll move on. Council minutes, is there any corrections to the minutes of last meeting? Apparently not. Do I hear a motion to accept the minutes of the last meeting?
I make a motion, we accept November 14th council minutes as presented.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I thought maybe we needed a second.
Oh.
Jim did. Seconded.
Oh, Jim did.
Jim got you.
Oh, Jim.
Did you catch it?
Motion.
Motion's been approved.
Yep.
New communications, we have a correspondence from Jim McPhail. Being regards to Mrs. McPhail.
Not exactly, but.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
We already had a talk, right? She told me she didn't want to do this.
I don't like to do this stuff, you guys
Yeah,
know.
that's what she said.
Am I speaking as a citizen or as,
I think if it's a communication, don't we just accept and file it?
That's what we do.
all right?
I mean, isn't that what we do with communications?
Yep.
Yeah.
Motion to accept that communication?
No, we just accept and file.
We just file it?
You can do
Okay.
it by yourself.
Oh, I can?
Yep.
Jeez, I got some power. Okay, moving on to payment of claims. Any questions?
No, but I have a thing for, on the account balance report, which I'm the only person that reads it.
No,
Jenny,
that's
I'm-
wrong.
No. I'm a bad
I read that every
Equipment fund's not
time.
listed.
I say I
It's
don't
there,
understand it.
but you need to put a heading in there in case it's something you do over and over again.
Which one is it?
It's just a fund balance
Oh,
report.
I see.
Oh, okay.
It just kind of rambled on, and then I figured, oh, that's equipment, I'm pretty sure.
It is.
661? Yeah.
Yeah, which one are you talking about?
This one
that
back
doesn't
here.
have a heading? See, there's one on the front that doesn't have a heading too, Jenny.
There is?
Yeah, there's one, the second one down on the front doesn't have a heading either.
Oh, it doesn't. Good for you, you do look at it.
I told you I'd look at it, oh my goodness.
And that one's major streets.
Okay, so we have major streets, the second one.
Yep.
And the last one was what?
Equipment.
Okay.
But I think you guys should maybe look these over before you send them out, and make sure.
We
They're right.
look at them, I think that's the first time that's
It is.
been that way, yeah.
But I think that thing just doesn't tell me a whole lot.
Oh, it tells me
I
everything.
tells her everything, I have to call her up and say, what is this? But, yeah, I do have some questions on the, bills that were paid. Michigan State WSSN annual fee, what is that?
What page?
That first page, one.
That's your drinking water fee to the state of Michigan.
Yep,
Drinking water testing?
No,
that's our annual, it's like a
Annual fee.
permit, yeah.
You're kidding.
Oh,
every municipality that has a water system,
We pay the state way too much.
you pay that too, of course.
Okay, on page 2, the annual service, are we gonna pay that every year then, that when it says annual service? that-
BSNA software?
Yeah.
Yes,
Is that seem a little high, or?
it's actually less than it used to be. Our previous, computer system was like
it was
5 or
nothing.
6,000.
Yeah, I was gonna say, this means that when we call them with a question, we don't pay a bill then.
Nope, we have unlimited service
Right.
through them and.
So anything that goes wrong, they take care of for the year for them.
Okay, for that amount,
Yeah,
then that's all covered.
and we,
Oh.
and quite honestly, we call them all the time, so
Yeah.
that's probably pretty
It's
cheap
pretty
for what we
decent.
use them, yeah.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah.
I thought that was just some kind of,
And it's the same.
Another one like the state.
And it's the same, and this is just for our accounting software. There's another annual fee we pay for the IT service, and it's the
Okay.
same concept. We pay that fee and we get unlimited service for anything that happens on computers, so.
good, excellent. On page 3 too, there's a Cornford Electric parking lot lighting. What parking lot was that?
That was, the one next to Bears that the DDA paid to have installed.
Okay.
You should fix that sign,
Oh, it's a faded,
the parking sign.
yeah.
Looks pretty bad. In fact, all the signs look pretty bad.
On that same page, Municipal Code Corporation, code hosting, what's that?
Municipal code, they're the people that codify all of our ordinances. So we send our ordinances to them annually if there's any changes, and then they have a website that they use to make it publicly available. And they put all the references and all the changes in there, and then they track everything that we do with it. So instead of us having to do it, they do it for us.
See, that's their fee for having it on the internet, then, right?
Yep.
I'm sure I have a couple more. Okay, on the Christmas decorations, didn't we last year talk about, because I looked at that and I thought, wow, that's a lot of money. Didn't we talk about possibly doing something else with Christmas decorations? I mean, we pay that and then we don't have anything, basically. I mean, they're not ours, right? That's
Right.
just his fee, right?
Yep, they come in the middle of the night, they put up the Christmas trees and the wreaths, and then they go away for a while, and then they come back and take them down for us.
We did talk about that 2 years in a row. I think Chris originally brought it up, and then I reminded last year. The schools in Shields area make their own decorations and put their own, well, I think their DPW puts them up.
They do, I saw them doing it.
Yeah, they do put them up.
But the high school makes the,
Yeah, and we thought that would be a heck of a lot cheaper than $5,643, so can we really look into that, or does this
It's a-
company just do they do the bridges too, Matt?
Yes,
The wreaths and
they do all of the street light poles in town.
the Christmas trees?
Yeah. They put up the ones that are up above.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they have a bucket truck.
They do north and south of town too. I mean,
Yeah.
they go out
Yeah,
both ways.
yeah, I think they go all the way to the industrial park, and then
Yeah,
they go
they do.
almost down to, I wanna say Hampshire Street is
I
pretty
do
much where
like
it ends.
these.
Yeah.
I like these trees.
I
Yep,
like
and
the
they're LED, so they'll give us a break on our consumer's bill, cause at the end of the season, they send us a wattage sheet and we send it to consumers, and then we have to pay for the electricity, cause most of the poles that these are on are, they're calculated, they're not metered, so consumers get to charge us pretty much whatever they want for the.
Well, you count the bulbs, don't you? I mean, you know how many bulbs are in each thing, how long they were
Yeah.
on, when they were turned on.
Mhm.
But my question is, and I think the school making them and us having our own is a great idea, but we did have our own for a long time, and the problem is storage.
Yes.
Do you have a place out there that you could store something like that?
The old ones were stored in that well house on Brant Road, I remember that.
Okay, could they be stored back here?
His room
In
back
that
here.
garage back here?
The one right behind us?
Yeah, right behind us.
Maybe, I suppose it depends on how many there are and how big they are, and
Well, that would be a place that's not being used that we could store Christmas lights in. I mean, if we got them to
I
make
mean, there's
them.
many more decorations here now than there used to be back in the day.
There are, but the ones that are in Shields are smaller too. I mean, well, they appear smaller. I always think things are small when they're up in the air until they bring them down. But, yeah, I know. I just wondered if we would have a place to stack them or
Is it,
do whatever with them.
is it too risky to store anything in the pool house? Does that get broken into?
You know, and it looks like they've been kicking at the doors
Oh.
again, so.
So it does
I
get,
mean,
Are they getting in or just kicking?
it looks like they haven't got in, but they've been working on it.
Okay.
I just think that it's something we seriously should take a look at.
Have anybody talked to the school about doing this?
No, we haven't, we talked about the possibility last year because Shields had done that. But I think that it's something we need to check into.
Swan Valley is a lot bigger high school than St. Charles.
True.
I would have serious doubts that you'd get very far with them making Christmas decorations.
No, they made a design, I think, the Shields ones, didn't they? They made a design and somebody else made the decorations. The kids.
No, I think the kids
Did
cut them out.
They
They did.
did.
Instead of making bowls for their mothers, they made Christmas decorations type of thing.
do they have a woodworking at,
Well, it's high school, middle school. I mean, he's not in high school all the time. He's partly in middle school.
that might be a good future project, even if it took
Mhm.
more than a year. You know?
Yeah, and this contract lasts for a couple more years, so that it gives us time to plan it out and figure out the logistics.
Do you think other companies are this high, Matt? Did you,
Yeah, they're
Yeah, I think we
they're
used
pretty
the
similar.
cheapest one,
you know.
wasn't well, we've used the same company for a long time.
Yeah, we've used the same
It's- we've
company
never
for
really
for
looked.
many
Well, I
years.
think everybody uses the same company.
Pretty much.
It's
I don't-
pretty much.
I don't
It
think
used
there's
to
a
be
lot of them
called,
that do it anymore.
Kenmark, wasn't it called Kenmark?
Yeah.
But I think they just changed their name. I think it's still the same people. And they do everybody, and that's why we got them so early this year, because they do so many that they start way early to get them up.
Yeah, it's been getting
We've been
earlier and
early
earlier.
2 years in a row.
It's been getting earlier and earlier.
Yeah.
Might this not be a good topic for one of our committees to look into, being we've got 2 years?
Could be.
We don't use these committees anyway, and I think they should be put to work.
How much work are you gonna put us to? Because we don't get paid to go to committee meetings.
I don't know. How much do you think of your town?
I think a lot of my town.
Okay.
Would it make any difference if the poles that had Christmas trees attached to them did not have the other decorations put on them?
If we're under contract, I think he's just contracted for so much then, isn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
The trees are new.
The trees are new.
Right,
Yeah.
but they cover up.
The decoration.
I know we need taller
Yeah,
poles.
but that's only for like, what, a month? And the Christmas decorations are put up like, what, 2 months before
Yeah,
Christmas?
it was like right after Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
they were put
or,
up.
yeah, over a month, yeah.
Yeah.
And the Christmas trees
They put
are
them
up,
on,
what, for,
the Christmas trees are up for January 4th, I think.
Yeah,
Or
then
they're
they
set
come
to
down.
be brought down, yeah.
I don't know.
So this company does the downtown area too?
They do the downtown. Yeah. In fact, the DDA pays for it all.
Okay. I didn't realize they did downtown.
Yep, they do. There's like little wreaths, and they skip some of the poles, and some of them are on one side, some are
The
on the other,
wraps.
and they do the wraps.
Yeah.
And some of them are lit, and some of them are not.
Well,
We
then
could
Dick-
probably
Well,
skip
that
the
is-
wraps with the trees up
Right,
there,
but Dick,
actually.
that might be a project for the DDA to look into then.
Mhm.
I like that idea.
Yeah, well, it's their money.
Yeah,
Yeah, they can let them
Good,
figure
that's good
out.
research.
I just have one more question, and it's on page 4, Mission Communications Annual Service. What is that?
That is the communications company we use to track our water levels. So the water tower talks to the water meter coming in, and vice versa, and they tell each other how full they need to be and when they need to pump water in from the city. Yep, it's all wireless. And it comes. They send us emails every morning telling us what happened overnight, and they tell Don when there's an emergency. They'll send a call out to him and say, "Hey, your water tower's too low," or "Hey, your pressure's too high or too low." Or,
You don't have to climb the water tower anymore on the inside?
We're in the modern age.
Yeah, yeah.
Is it a computer voice, or you actually talk to a person?
It talks to you.
The phone is a computer generated.
It is. It talks to you.
I think the city is connected in there too, and
Yeah,
they.
because they can see the level
Yeah,
of time.
and there's somebody there 24/7 to watch it too. So
Okay.
generally, if they see something funky, they'll call us too.
Yeah,
Those are
it's out on the computer out at the barn, you can see what level it's at, fill up or not, or we can adjust the levels actually from the office too,
Does-
so.
Does that have anything to do with the chlorine also?
The levels you adjust it can help, but we can't make any more coming in.
No, I just wondered.
It's how often the tower turns over and that kind of thing we can help some.
Living underneath a water tower, every once in a while you get a good whiff of chlorine.
You get a jolt when it's filling, don't you?
Yeah. There's your sinuses, believe me. Anything else?
No, but it's better than living by the lagoon.
Yeah. Down where you get your sinuses cleaned here?
Yeah, you do.
He had the same questions I did, Diana, so I'm all answered, but I wondered on our, now this is a, excuse me, the very first thing, the card member, our Visa card.
Yeah.
This is low for us. Last time it was, I don't know, 6,000 or, but it was
I
combined
think it
with
was
another.
yeah, there was two
Yeah.
bills. Yeah.
On our old method, we knew exactly what we were buying. Could we, I think it's important that council see that invoice, like, well, you had suggested it when we helped out the library to look at the invoice there.
Mhm.
And then we know more of what we're voting on, but this is a low one here.
Mm-hmm.
But when they get way big, it's a good idea that we all see that so that we know what we're voting on.
Yeah, and we've been playing with the fields too to see where we can manipulate and where we can't, because some of it will get cut off and some of it won't. So we'll play with it for next time and see if it helps a little bit better. Yeah.
I know at one time they sort of used it emergency and then they ran tabs all over. But, and they used it for fuel. But, it's just nice to know what we're voting on. We need to know that, the council does, so.
Sure.
Is that thing sitting next to you not all of the bills for this month?
It is. Yep.
So if any council member, just so you all know, if you wanna see a bill, ask him, he's got it right there with him.
Yeah.
They're available to be looked at.
Mhm.
So
you-
if there's a particular bill you wanna see, we have a right to look at it.
Yeah, and even if you get your packet and you think something's not
Okay.
quite explained
know.
right, you can stop in before the meeting
Yeah.
and look at it too.
When I look at some of our old ones, we pretty much knew.
Mhm.
Now it's supply, 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 lawyer, lawyer, supplies. We have a lot of those,
Yeah.
but I guess it's needed, but for us to better understand, it's a good idea, maybe we should
Mhm.
look at that.
Yep, we can try to expand a little bit. There are some space limitations, but we'll try to do our best.
Okay,
Or just look at the bill, Diane, if you want.
Or that.
right now?
Whenever you want to.
Oh, look at them during the meeting, you mean? Why don't you pass it down, Matt?
Do you know how they're?
We'll see how this
Is it
goes.
alphabetical?
Yeah, it should be under,
Thank you, Chris.
You're welcome. It's just-
These remember, I used to really upset you guys, they'd come in here and look at it before you mailed them.
Well, yeah, those are all before they're mailed, right?
Yeah, remember.
Those aren't
we
mailed
had-
out yet.
we had them lay on the desk.
Most of them are most of them are not unless there's a late fee.
Right. Or if it's a consumer's or a, they can be mailed in. Any more questions?
Any more questions while Diane's looking at this?
If there are no questions, I'll make a motion that we pay the bills in the sum of $103,057.63.
Is there a
I'll
second?
support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? New business. We have a resolution 1820 to dissolve the industrial park LDFA. Any discussion on that?
I do have a question. I made my husband drive me down to the industrial park today. Our new lights are still not up there.
That's true.
Have we paid for them?
We had to pay them in advance. That's one
Okay,
of the
so
stipulations.
that was a big issue with, because I thought if we're dissolving it, that has to be paid for. But why are they dragging their feet on this? Do you know?
I really don't know. I've been working on this for a year and a half with them, and they have been just dragging their feet like you wouldn't believe it. It's been extremely frustrating.
It has been. Yeah, but there was some activity out there today. They're at least preparing to do something. So hopefully they
Preparing to do something.
prepare. Yeah, what did they tell you they were doing, Don?
They're preparing just the feed lines to the lamps, they're gonna bore them. So, they're just,
Are the footings all in, that cement?
no, this is just the electrical conduit and stuff
Oh.
they're boring. They're
The
not setting
The
any.
ductwork?
So,
But we have all the bills paid then out of this. Everything's
Yes.
paid and
yes.
we're
I
okay
don't.
with
I don't
that.
think there's any outstanding Spicer bills.
No.
So we're all paid up.
Then the, it's 13,962 is what's left. Do we have to split that up, or can we?
We don't actually.
Okay.
Gary found there's a new law that consolidated all the BDAs, LDFAs, TIFs, and everything. And it says any leftover money goes back to the village, and any property that's owned by the district goes back to the village too. So that'll come over to the general fund.
Any?
Hmm?
You mean we didn't have to do all that, and we could have taken all that money?
Yeah, I guess technically.
It's awful.
Yeah.
Well, at least we got our work done down there, Fred.
We did.
Yeah, yeah, and it looks nice down there. I'm glad it was done.
Mike, we did
Are
we?
you?
As long as we, yes, I am. I am glad it's done.
I don't know,
Even
it's
if
a
we
lot of
don't.
money.
Yeah, it is a lot of money. It's a very lot of money, but
I have one
yeah,
question
I'll
for
look
you.
at it.
Did you research, was this opened up by resolution? You know, when we began the LDFA, was a resolution made to begin it?
No, the LDFA was created by ordinance, but the law states that it can be dissolved by the governing body of the municipality by resolution.
And then we're dissolving it on the 31st anyway, so
Yeah.
that's the state stage, right?
Yeah,
That's
it's
the same.
the 31st, it was going to expire anyway. And so what Gary suggested we do is make our intentions known by officially dissolving it through a resolution. So if somebody ever looks back 20 years from now and said, hey, what happened to that LDFA? They know that we did it and then we took all the assets over to the village.
No, I agree, it's a good idea.
Yeah, does that include, we had talked about the EDC too.
It does not include the
Are we
EDC.
gonna undo that too?
Well, that's the next item to talk about.
Oh, sorry.
Did you read your
Look at
agenda?
that.
I did.
Had to do that. Just had to do that.
Any further discussion on this resolution?
No, I looked it over and it looks pretty good to
Yep.
me.
Do we have a motion to accept resolution 1820?
And this one's a roll call vote.
I'll make the motion, we accept resolution
Second.
1820.
Roll call vote?
Sarah Tiley? Deanna Coots?
Yes.
Christine Newman?
Yes.
Richard Horner?
Yes.
Diane Dennis?
yes,
Jim McPhail?
Yes.
Lois Tiley?
yes.
Motion carried. move on to the Economic Development Corporation and dissolution thereof.
Yeah, this, I didn't bring a resolution for dissolution. This one's a little bit different because it was created as a nonprofit organization in 1978. In order to dissolve this one, if you want to, you have to actually get the board back together. And then they have to do a resolution to dissolve, and then council approves it. So this is kind of a question to council as to what you might want to do with the EDC. Do you want to get the band back together and move any assets over to the village that you want? Because there's a cell tower on an Economic Development Corporation parcel that pays us money every month. And so with the dissolution of the LDFA, that money is going to be kind of in limbo. So if we wanted to use that money in the general fund, we'd have to kind of do a very similar thing and take the assets back. But the only way to do that is to put the EDC board back together.
Can I ask you, have those monies from the cell tower been going into the, no, LDFA or the EDC?
They've been going into the LDFA fund.
Even though it's not
Even-
part of the LDFA?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So now then, would you put those fees in the EDC?
We would either, I don't know if there was an EDC fund that's been hidden or if
No,
it's
I
just
think there
been
was
going in the
one.
LDFA. It might stay in the LDFA. It will rename it as the EDC or something to that
Okay.
effect. So that money could stay there perpetually.
Now, we're talking a substantial, I mean, this is not like $100.
No, this is $12,000 a year.
Yeah, so then the council could then decide, do we want that folded in to the general fund and used for a different matter?
Yep.
Or do we want to leave it there and we could then use it to maintain the industrial park and not take any money out of the general fund to do that with?
Possible.
Or we could use it towards retirement or,
If it goes to the general fund, yes.
yeah.
Yeah. So I guess there's three things you can do. You can do nothing and just put that money aside. The general fund from the LDFA is going to get, I think it was $19,000-ish in revenue just from the reduced tax capture.
Okay.
The EDC is $12,000. You can keep
In
it.
addition to the 19?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, it's an addition.
Sounds like it might be favorable to leave it to exist.
Well, is there not a new thing coming down the pike about insurance costs of retirees? Are they gonna make us save money for that too?
I'm not, it's not ringing a bell.
Okay, okay. I thought I just read that somewhere.
I know that we talked about Public Act 202 last year and this year, and we made our plan and we're putting money towards it. And is that maybe what you're thinking of?
Maybe it is.
Yeah, we've already kind of addressed
That's separate
that.
from the retirement fund, from the,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Well, the other thing you can do is if you do decide to push this into the general fund, you can actually obligate it in the general fund for the
Okay.
industrial park too. So,
Okay.
but it just depends on what your pleasure is.
Would we ever need that EDC again out there? I don't see what for, it's wetlands,
Yeah.
right? What we have left is
Yeah.
wetlands.
Yeah, I think we already own the 2 undeveloped parcels that we bought
That's
last
within the
year.
industrial park.
That's in the industrial park, and I can't see any other use of the EDC. One of the parcels that the EDC owns is actually our Lagoon Cell 1.
Yes.
So it's not gonna develop any businesses out there.
And then I think we made the rest wetlands in trade for where we put the DPW building. We had to flip-flop some over. And I don't remember who was here then from Spicer, but they suggested that I open up a duck hunting blind out there. Because it's a great duck hunting place.
Sell tickets.
And we could make money off of that, but.
Yeah, it's a rough terrain too.
Uh-huh.
There's not much back there. I mean,
Yeah, it's not much useful.
No.
property.
I think it actually butts up to the Shiawassee State
does.
Game area, so there's really not much you can do in terms of development
No.
there. Yeah, so, but that's my question.
I just had to laugh because of being on the planning commission as long as I have been, we get chosen to do every kind of weird thing
Yeah.
imaginable.
Yeah.
But, because I am on the council and the planning commission, you're talking 2 other people could be appointed then, would be so that would make 3 as officers of the village or employees.
Yeah.
So if you had
So it would be,
7 planning commission members and
yeah,
2 more
and then
people.
2 additional, yeah, so, and the reason I suggest that is because we've got 7 people already to go to do it, and then you could just add a couple additional people. You could have Marguerite and Jenny do it, or me and Marguerite, or president and someone else from the council. It's basically whoever you want to do
Now,
it.
this is the EDC we're talking about?
This is the EDC board.
Yeah, because I think most of those people have, passed.
Yeah.
So, because that was a long time
Yep.
ago. And they were from Delta College and Saginaw Valley College. Everybody we took, taxes from.
And the other piece of this too is if we keep it open, that new legislation that I talked about before that captures all these laws and puts them into one for the DDAs and stuff, there's added requirements now for reporting. So if we're taking in money and spending it on development plans, they want us to tell them exactly what we're doing with it and why we haven't spent this money and what our plan is to spend this money. And if we just take that stuff and push it to the general fund, then it'll get wrapped up into
Then all you've
our-
got left is the DDA.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll have the DDA left, and they're the ones that'll be spending most of the time deciding, reporting to the state. 'Cause we gotta gear that up too, because they're gonna require us to have a new spot on our website just for the DDA, and their plan has to be there, and we have to do annual reports similar to what we have to do for revenue sharing, so there's gonna be a lot of extra work in that.
How often would this committee have to meet?
Probably twice a year,
So
or
maybe-
until it's done. So if council decided they wanted to appoint the planning commission and plus 2 other people to go through the work of winding this down, you would meet until it was over, and then once it was dissolved, then it would be no
Then it
more.
would be done. So we could maybe do it on what would be a regularly scheduled planning commission meeting if we didn't have any business that came in front of it, right?
We could probably
On
do
the
it
same
at the
kind
same
of day.
at the same time, yeah. Yeah, you would. It's like you would probably start as the planning commission, end your meeting, and then go in as the economic development corporation. It would be like 2 meetings one right after the other, or you could do one before and one after. Come in early and do one. There's a lot of things you can do. I don't think you could do one simultaneously. That's a little weird, but we could do one right after the other.
Okay.
Is it our intention to close it up?
That's
Well,
the
I don't know.
question.
I mean,
Oh,
that's what
that's
people
what
have to
you're gonna
decide.
decide?
Right. That's what we need to decide right
So you have to
now.
have the pros and cons available.
Mhm.
Okay.
If you want me to, I can go back and put together a list of pros and cons and the ramifications and all that stuff. This is just a starter discussion, so you guys are thinking about it. It's not something we have to do right away.
Well, but shouldn't we set up the board and get that over with? Because
That might
you're
be-
gonna need it even to close out, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Regardless of which way it goes.
Mhm.
I don't have a problem with 7 plus 2. Pick 2 people and set it up. Do you? Sarah?
We go in that direction
You
I'm
got
good
it?
with that, yeah.
That's
then?
fine.
Oh, yeah.
That direction then?
Yeah.
Do we need to do a motion for that or just an agreement?
Well, the council would officially appoint the 7 plus 2. So you would do a motion to appoint, you could say the current members of the planning commission plus these 2 people, and then you would vote on that appointment.
Do I hear a motion to,
Well, what 2 people?
What about 2 people
We need
wanna
the
do
2
it?
people first.
we gotta pick them first? Oh,
Yeah, because otherwise we'd have to come back and you'd have to
Good
appoint the individuals.
Do you want to pick the treasurer and the clerk?
I'm good with
Sounds
that.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if you guys
okay.
are fine with it, yeah.
Are they going to get a pittance? Everybody does.
I don't know if the EDC does. I'll have to look. I don't
You can
know.
look, but, I mean, planning commission does,
That is true.
everybody else does. It's not a lot, but
No.
it's a little something.
Like,
Some of them are
the
$25, some of them are 30.
well, like the planning commission would get, is that what you're thinking?
Not
Well,
20.
planning commissioner, park committee, I mean, everybody gets paid to go to those meetings.
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Well, maybe that could be part of your motion to pay them in comparison to The planning commission.
Yeah.
Is she gonna make a motion to take care of that?
I'll make a motion that we do all of that.
No, second.
Planning commission
Do
treasurer.
all of that.
And then,
I like that.
She'll
Easy
fix
way to
it.
get around it.
and then paid them a stipend, comparable to the
Comparable to
planning
the planning
commission.
commission. Just do it. She can fix it. She knows what we meant.
Just
Do
fix
you
it.
understand what we mean, Jenny? Okay.
Yeah. So
Do I
that's
hear a
her-
motion, or do I,
Was there
Yeah.
a second?
Oh, what's the
second, yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
Thank you, sorry.
I'll
Yeah.
support
Lo-
that.
Okay.
I think I already did.
Oh, yeah,
I didn't
Lois
hear
did.
you.
A little
There, I'm
bit
just
back.
looking at my notes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Next item is your 2019 meeting schedule. I take it just for review.
Yeah, it's just a review. It's set by council rule that it's on the second Wednesday of each month. If it were to like fall on a holiday or something, then it might behoove us to change it, but I don't think there does. The only one that might be questionable is September 11th, but it's not a holiday. It's just something we would
Yeah.
have like a remembrance or something.
Don't need any action on that, do we?
I don't think so. It's set by the council rules.
Next item is your setting, goal setting for your budget for the next year.
Yes.
What do you have on that, Matt?
I just wanted to found out when everybody's available. We typically do it on a Saturday. And December's too packed, I think, and so talking to some of the council members and some of the folks in the village, it's best to kind of push it off to January. So my question to you guys is, when are you available?
Is the finance committee going to meet before we have the budget meeting?
If you want it to, but generally the budget is done as a committee of the whole, simply because we have time frames for the budget, so we have to have it done by a certain time, and if we add that extra committee in there, it'll push it out. So the committee of a whole generally is what would be the budget.
I think that's what we did
worked
last
good
year.
Yeah, we
last
did it,
year.
yeah, it worked well last year.
But I don't wanna
It
meet at
really
the
did.
school.
Yeah, that was, no.
That was a really bad snowy day and that was
It
nasty.
was. We can meet here again like we did for that second
Okay.
meeting, yeah. And we'll bring out the chairs out again like we did and kind of get comfortable and talk
Those,
about budget.
those last two Saturdays, I will be gone, so the last two Saturdays of
No, not
January.
here. So you're
Well, the
thinking
first one I'll be
Tuesday?
here, but I'll be something else I have to do that day.
So you're saying the 12th?
Is it, not okay, I'll be gone. Is this the right year you've got here, 19?
I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so the 12th I would be here, but those two Saturdays, I'm gone.
The 19th and 26th?
Mhm.
12th is probably fine with me. How about
About-
you? Saturday's
A
probably
Saturday.
bad for you?
Let me check.
We usually meet, what about, was it 10 o'clock in the morning? Or was it 12?
I think it was 9 last
Yeah, I
time.
thought it was
9.
earlier. Yeah.
It was 9.
It
Okay,
was early.
so my
Oh,
Saturday
seven.
scheduled, I don't get out of work until 9 a.m.
So 10 would be better for
10 would
you.
be better.
10 would be better for
Okay.
Sarah.
Be
Okay.
better for me too.
Me too.
Me too.
Me 3.
Me 4.
What date you come up with?
January 12th.
January 12th.
10 a.m.
We have a council meeting just before it.
Right.
And that's our goal setting.
10 o'clock at the village office, right?
Yep, right here.
And there will be like cookies or something?
Yeah, I'll bring some goodies.
I had coffee and donuts last.
I mean, I can
I
always
think
make
donuts.
something too.
Oh, you don't have to make anything.
I mean, that's what I do. I
Okay.
have grandma, so
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what she does.
I think last year I made the dangerous journey to Tim Hortons and the
You did.
snowstorm.
In the snowstorm,
Came
yeah.
back, yeah.
We always accept
We don't need any action
I
on
mean,
that,
I
do
have
we?
bake all the time, so.
If you want, well, you do, because we'll have to officially set it and post the agenda and all
Oh,
that
that's
stuff.
right.
So,
Also, I should make a motion that we're
Need a
going to have
motion,
a
yes.
budget planning session on January 12th, Saturday, January 12th, at 10 a.m. here at the village office.
I'll second.
Support? And all those in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. Next item is set the manager evaluation and contract negotiations.
yep, this one, it sounds like, President, you want to do the personnel committee?
Like Personnel Committee to do their assessments.
So
Well,
I'm,
Do we need any action
In
for
order
that?
for us to do our assessment, the way we did it was 2 years ago. We have to have those evaluations filled out and turned into us, and then we tabulate them and make a summary report, okay? So those forms need to go out to each council member to fill out, and then we have to set a deadline for them to turn them in before the meeting date.
okay?
Now, she's on the personnel committee now, right, Sarah?
I believe so.
Okay, and it's never at the same time the council meetings are, so we need to know when you're available. Diane and I are both retired, so we're a little more flexible, so, you said, what time do you get out during the week?
I work, so every Wednesday I work 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. And then the rest of the times I work at 9 p.m. But I only work 4 days a week, so it would depend on what day.
What days of the week do you work?
My schedule just changed, so I'm not really 100% sure. I'll pull it up.
Are you gonna use the same forms you used the last time?
Well,
Yeah.
that was my question on this.
Yeah, because I've got that form at home.
We had the forms. Is everybody in agreement with the way? Because there was discussion on that too.
I like that
So
form.
how we're gonna score this, we wanna make sure that's clear up front, so we don't, I mean, we wasted our time on a lot of that,
You did.
Right.
so,
But if we do it,
Yeah.
it's standard, it's what we've done before, right?
alright.
So,
As long as everybody's in agreement with that, so it's
can
done
you
once.
send those to us then?
Yeah,
And we have to have them, and we'll have to, depending on when we're gonna set it up now, are we looking at, December now, or are we looking at January to get those in?
that's up to,
It's up to you.
it's up to you.
If they can send them out tomorrow,
Yep.
we get them. And you say you want them back the last week in December or the first week in January. That's plenty of time to fill them out.
Mhm.
Well,
And I'm
then-
not even sure that Sarah would need to do it, or Dick. I mean, they can do it if they want to. You know,
Okay.
that's up to
No,
them.
but she's on the committee,
Then you
that's
might
why I'm
as well do
asking
one.
her. So,
And then that puts us in a time crunch for the meetings.
so it has to be done before the next meeting, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we have to, get something in place by, I think it was February
February
1st.
1st.
And the next meeting.
I thought it
either-
was the first meeting in February.
Yeah, well, the meeting in
I think
February,
it's February 1st.
yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
I'll have to look at the.
Well, then there's only the January meeting left.
Mhm.
Maybe we should make it a motion to do it the first meeting in February. To give ourselves 2 more meetings. There is only one
There
meeting
was a
left before
reason it was
February
done
1st, right?
Right.
February 1st.
I think it
can't
did
remember
say
what it
February
was.
1st.
Yeah, we did say February 1st.
Hold the
I remember
second
that.
meeting in January.
We did before.
Mhm.
I think that's the only way we can do it, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we did, okay, you're thinking which way, Jeff?
That we need 2 meetings
2
in 1
January
month.
meetings.
It's gonna be a cram.
It is.
It
Yeah.
is.
And I think we had to do that. It was the only way to really push this through in a timely,
Well, if we do that, then we're gonna have to change the date. And that was something, that if you're gonna do, we said February 1st, all right? Now, can we go ahead and change that date?
We'd have to renegotiate the change. We'd have to re-amend the amendment to the contract.
Yeah, the lawyer wrote that up for February 1st.
Yeah,
Did he?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
It was-
Well, then 2 meetings in January.
Yeah.
that's what we did, didn't we? Didn't we have 2 in January?
I don't even remember what it's January. I don't remember.
I don't remember what
Yeah.
month it was, but I remember we had.
No.
I know we had 2 meetings for the budget last year in January.
We
Yeah.
did, but I don't think we did that for the whole
Yeah,
last
yeah.
evaluation was not good.
Yeah.
Done, I mean, it wasn't done well.
Well, that's why I was saying, it needs to be, the instructions on it need to be very clear. Everybody needs to be understanding, because if there's half scores or
No
Yeah, no
score.
half
no
scores,
score, how do you
yeah.
score that?
Yeah.
I mean, there's standards on, I mean, we use, like I said, we use that Survey Monkey, and there's standards. If you don't score, it scores automatically one way. So whether you want it to go that way or not, if you don't put nothing, it's gonna score you. So how do we wanna use that? You know, I mean, we're back at the same thing that we were saying last year, is we didn't like it
Well, that was
because
you and Jim, wasn't it?
we didn't
You,
agree
Jim,
with it,
Jim
yeah.
and Diane.
And Diane.
Yeah, the thing of it is, it wasn't, the procedure was bad, the form was good. It's that the way people filled it out.
Well, it was, they have to fill it out. To do a survey correctly, you have to fill it out
Per instructions,
per the instructions and completely.
and you have to have a number in there, you can't
Because
just leave it.
if
an
you
empty
leave it
number.
blank, if it's 1 to 5 and you leave it blank, it's automatically scored as a 2.5.
And we can't have
And if
the
we don't like
fractions.
that, we can change the rules right now, but that's,
Right, so we need it to
Yeah.
be, yeah, we can't be fractions, because we got into
Yeah.
that too, with the fractions.
yeah.
And I want everybody to understand that this is not for or against Matt, it's to help him improve
Yes.
his relationship with us, and us improve our relationship with him. This is not like you're in school and you're gonna fail. This
Yeah.
is a different type of
More information is better.
evaluation. It is.
More information is better.
It'll-
If there's a
it'll help him
line,
more.
add information.
Because we said it
Yes.
should be constructive, like,
Yeah.
it should,
Yeah.
should not be anything, you know, it should be constructive.
But I think it was, like you said, I think it was very misunderstood last year.
It was, it just
And
went,
it made us very hard on
On
reading
us,
it
the
and
committee.
figuring it out.
it was hard on Matt too. It was the difficult. I don't wanna do that again.
No. And if you wanna do something different, we need a quick, different form, just quick and
Really quick.
simple. You know what I
But
mean?
that
If we
took
wanna
too
do
long
something
to-
different,
But that
but
took too long.
if
to
we use that
establish.
Put
same
together.
form,
Yeah.
if we use the same form, it has to be very concise.
Yeah, I remember doing lots of research with the committee, and we had, just a stack.
Oh, man, we had,
Oh, my
it was
goodness.
terrible.
Yeah.
It was really terrible.
You know, you
So-
could always default to the MML or the townships or whoever for a quick form, but the one we did I mean, if it gets,
Well, it was
if it
fine.
gets too
It
far.
hit everything. I mean,
It was a good
Yeah.
form, but you just need people to put numbers in there and not put, you know, they had people put 1.5, you know, and it's like,
Yeah.
well, now, is that a 1 or is that a 2? That just makes sense.
Or not
to me.
score
just
it
didn't
and
fill-
add
didn't fill it
add a
out.
line.
50%.
Yeah,
So put a number in there
yeah.
when you get your evaluation
I might
form.
have put a 1.5 in there.
Yes?
Well, I think there was so many of them, there was, but there was so many that didn't score and because, and they'd add a comment, well,
You didn't give me enough numbers.
yeah.
You didn't.
Was
1
it-
through
was it-
35.
Well, yeah, wasn't it like 1, 2, and 3 or something?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
just 1, 2, and
Yeah.
3, and I needed some extra numbers in there.
Well, maybe the simple fix is swap it to 1 through 5 or
1
something.
through
And-
5.
And maybe next year, if we really want this to
I thought
be,
it was
maybe
1, 2,
we
and
talk
3.
to somebody like Survey Monkey and see
Yeah.
if they
I
can
would
just do
rather
it
have
and.
5 numbers to pick from.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, you're not either terrible, medium, or excellent.
right.
There should be
Do
something in
do
between.
you have this on computer?
I do, yeah.
Okay, so that you can change.
Yeah, I could very
From 1
easily
to
swap
5,
the numbers.
right?
Do 1 to 5,
Okay.
and that'll get rid of the halves.
But encouraged to leave a comment.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Oh, there's
encouraged to
tons
leave
of
a comment.
space on
There's
that
lots
thing.
of places.
There
that
is.
I wrote, yes, you can write.
Mm-hmm.
But there were people who put 1-2.
Yeah, Yeah.
1.5.
I know,
Yeah, I
I know.
mean, well, I was probably one of those people.
1 to 5 would be better.
Yes,
Okay, if you can change that on there and put 1 to
And
5.
we're gonna try for 2 meetings?
yep.
All right,
And get them out, and we'll have them filled
Yeah,
out at
I
the
agree.
first meeting.
Yep.
Oh, we're getting them back to you before the first meeting, right?
Yeah.
You're getting it back to us before.
Are we mailing them directly to you? Are you the chairman of that now? Wasn't there a list of,
She is the
Wouldn't
chairman.
be better if you drop it off at the house. Sometimes that mail takes 2 weeks.
well, that's true, I know,
Well-
I
There's
can't
not
find
that
mine,
many.
I must have left it home.
But the,
Coots
yeah,
is
the
chairman.
assignments, yeah,
Coots is
it's
the
Sarah's on it now, it's me, Diane, and Sarah.
Yep, I remember that. Huh.
I don't think they should mail them to me, I don't think that should
Okay.
come to my home.
I think you drop
Well,
it
we'll
off.
drop them off here.
Drop them
and
off at the
That's, I
office.
picked them
Call her
up.
when they're all here and they can pick them
Yeah,
up.
Put 'em
I
in
had
the
one
envelope.
packet delivered and I picked up the rest.
And you were the head of that.
And then we
committee at that
destroyed
time.
them afterwards.
Okay.
Now, so we
Nothing was
have,
retained.
we have to meet before the first council meeting then, that's my
It should be
issue.
brought back.
Okay, you guys do.
They come back in a sealed envelope.
And so
Yep.
that is,
Have them back at the village by first of the year. And then we can pick them up first of the year.
okay, January 9th, so that puts it, yeah. And the first is on,
Well, the
First
first is
is
a
on-
holiday.
yeah, is a week, right before that, so, right.
The
The,
first comes before the 12th.
yeah, it does.
Okay, the first is on a Saturday,
The first is a Tuesday.
so the third.
First is a Tuesday, you're not.
Where am I
looking
at
at
now?
the
Oh, I'm in December, I'm sorry.
The third is
The
a
first is
Thursday.
on a Tuesday.
There's a thought.
So,
But if we could tabulate them around the first through the fifth, then on the 12th, they would be all.
Ninth.
We'd have our
9th, Diane.
report ready. Okay.
The 9th and the 23rd is when we will be meeting. You won't be here, will you?
hmm?
Are you going away or just on weekends?
No, just on weekends.
Okay.
So is the goal to have the evaluation at the 9th meeting? Is that
I would say that's what we have to do to meet our time constraints.
to do the
So on
closed
the,
session?
on the evaluation you send out, tell it it's due by,
Friday the 4th?
that's too close. It's not, you want it before this.
Yeah, well, if we could do it the week before the meeting, there's a Monday and a Tuesday before that meeting too, because all we have to do
Oh,
is.
this week here's?
Yeah.
Okay, that's up to you guys.
As long as we have, what's okay
Monday,
with you?
Tuesday?
I'm good with anything.
Diane?
I'm good with anything.
Well, why don't we say,
Are you better in the morning or the afternoon?
I'm wonderful all the time.
I know you are, I'm not asking you.
I am lucky with my job that I can pretty much make anything work.
Okay,
Well, if we do it, I don't want it, I would rather do it on the Monday as opposed to the
the
Tuesday.
7th?
Yeah. Because we need time for,
So you want them in here by the 4th?
yeah.
Because you're not gonna look at them before you tabulate them.
No.
are you? No. So January 4th.
Surveys
Matt,
due
stick
the
that on
4th.
that thing.
Is that the Saturday?
That's a Friday.
Friday.
And then the committee meeting will be on the Monday?
Yeah. What time do you want
What time is good for you, Sarah? We did it in the afternoon last time, we did in the evenings, I think, for Jim, didn't we?
Yeah, most of mine were
Was it
after
like
work.
5 or
I
so?
think we met
Was
at
it
5
late-
and.
Late afternoon, I think.
So.
Like I said, I only have to work 4 days a week, so I got 3 days that I can play. If it comes on a day that I have to work, I just
And they're okay
swap
with
my
that,
day.
that's not gonna cost.
My supervisor's wrapped around my finger. I can do what I want.
Okay.
Okay.
Would you rather meet in the afternoon than at night?
Yeah, I'd rather in the afternoon. Wouldn't you, Diane, or not?
That's fine.
Daylight's better.
So what time do you wanna do, like, in the afternoon or in the afternoon after 5?
It doesn't matter.
What do you think, Matt?
I'll make whatever work. We can do it during the day, that means that I don't have to stay
What,
after.
Okay, 2 or 3 o'clock, which is good.
Yeah, and I don't work until nights anyway, so.
2 or 3 o'clock.
Yep, 3.
3? Okay, 3
Is that
p.m.
good, man?
Shouldn't take more
Is
than
that decided?
5
Yep.
hours.
We're all set with this?
Shouldn't take more than 5 hours.
Oh, you do not understand what we went through last year.
I do.
And then the next question is, after that's done with the negotiation, is that gonna be done with the full council at one of the meetings? Or did you wanna assign a group to do the negotiation and come up with a proposal? Or did you wanna just have the president do it? Cause we'll have to fit that in too before February.
I think it has to be at a full meeting, don't you?
Should be.
Yeah.
I think so.
Well, if we do your evaluation at the 9th meeting, then what you said, we'll probably have to have.
26th.
We'll have to have another meeting probably, right, that month.
Right?
Mhm. Yep,
Do we look at the evaluation and negotiate on the same day?
why not?
We could do that.
I would say that would be the quickest and easiest, yeah.
On January 9th,
Yeah.
You?
you okay with that?
I'll do whatever.
Yeah, I think that would be the best.
That was my original proposal.
Then you wouldn't need the second meeting.
That
would
was,
work.
that was my original proposal back
Yep.
in the day.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and I'll just get out of work whenever. I can just. Yeah,
Well,
I
it's a
gotta be
meeting
here.
night, so we'll just do it after.
All right.
Are you gonna request a closed session for,
For the evaluation, yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. so we'll do it after the meeting on the ninth?
All right.
Are we firm on it?
Not real firm yet, I gotta ask one more question. If we go into a closed session for the evaluation, are we then gonna come back out and negotiate the same night? Do you negotiate in an open session?
Yes, you have to.
So then we'd come back out and negotiate in an open session?
Let's just
after
do it
the
all.
closed?
It's gonna be a long night,
Oh,
but yeah,
oh,
let's just,
okay.
I mean, that would be my,
I don't have a problem with
Yeah.
that.
I can bring
You
a,
guys?
I can bring a
Take a leave at
laptop
some time?
and we
I'll just get
can
that day off.
type
Okay.
stuff up and copy and paste and do all that stuff and we can just
That'd be
bang
the-
it out.
I think
Okay.
that'd be,
I'll
yeah, let's
move
just
my
do it.
schedule around.
It would, it drug out.
Okay,
And I'd
and
like
if
to
it
just
doesn't
do
work,
it.
we always have a backup of a
Yeah.
second meeting.
I'd like to just do it all at once.
Okay.
Do we need a motion?
I don't
That
think
should
so.
be all we
I think
need on
just
that?
said it.
Yeah.
We don't need a motion.
We got all,
I
no,
don't think so. We already have a meeting and you're just telling me basically what you want on the
just a
meeting.
regular
Yeah.
meeting.
Yeah, it's
anyway.
just a long meeting.
All right.
Yep, I'm good with that.
Good job.
Okay, let's move on to the added item F
Oh, the truck.
on the truck. Do you have any discussion, questions? Who's Sawyer Sales?
I don't know who it is.
Yeah, I recognize Scientific, but I didn't
Yeah, I
recognize.
didn't recognize Sawyer.
They're one of the big truck repair places over there off Wolf Road.
It's somebody that you know about,
Oh,
that
yeah,
you've used
yeah,
before.
oh, yeah.
They're where?
Off Wolf Road over 81, over by, actually over by Wayland Sales and all that.
Okay.
8175.
So it is someone you've worked with before?
Oh, yeah, they're.
When you were over
they're
there?
quality companies.
Okay.
All three of them fall.
I have to ask, I don't.
What is this?
The first picture I can make out,
There's
what is
springs
this
on the
picture?
dump
What am
truck.
I looking at?
Those are broken leaf
Battery.
springs.
Yeah, pardon me?
Those are broken leaf springs.
Yeah, I had trouble too until they explained it. When you have, you can see that it like looks like stairs
It was
going
hard
up.
to get a good picture of it.
The stairs going up are the leaf springs and the ones that are missing are the broken ones.
Okay.
Okay, I mean, I could figure
And
out.
this is the tire?
That's the
Yes.
tire, yeah.
God, good.
Yeah, I could figure out this
Yeah, it was
one
hard. to get a
with
good
some
picture
help,
of it.
but I couldn't figure out what on earth that one was.
Can't wait. Jerk.
Is that's on both sides?
That's what it says on it.
They do on both sides or just
We're gonna
one?
do both sides.
I mean, that bid, is that both sides?
No, that's
This
one
is the
side.
tire. This is the leaf
There's no,
spring,
this
this is
is
the
the
tire
one
that's.
side.
No.
The other ones are.
I got the leaf spring.
So in other words, that's gonna come out more money then, right?
No, that.
No, this is for
That is
both,
both
right?
sides.
Both. And one thing that they forgot to do on all
These
these
are the
quotes
broken
is
springs.
they didn't take
Oh,
off sales tax.
That's what it is.
So it's actually gonna be less,
Yep.
Okay.
but we'll tell them at the time, hey, we don't pay taxes.
All
Yeah.
righty, I like that.
This
So,
is,
this is much better than buying a new truck.
yeah, this is Leaf and Spring over there, that's the name of it?
No, it's, Sawyer Sales.
Okay. 'cause
They're
Leaf-
right beside
Yeah.
Michigan Truck Spring.
Michigan Truck and Spring, yeah, I
They're-
know.
I think they actually work together.
I think they do, yeah, we've taken stuff over there before, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I make a motion, we fix the truck
I second-
using Sawyer Sales.
I second that.
Second to the motion?
She did. Sarah did.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I really love it that it's gonna come out of the sales proceeds.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's cool.
that's a good.
It helps.
It does help.
It does
Motion
help.
carried.
Yep.
Yeah, and just as a side note, we netted just over $8,000 from our auction, so it helps us out with Don's fixing of things, so,
Fixing up things?
yeah.
X-rated. Yeah, no. It just shows I need to wash them more.
Actually,
That's what I was thinking.
After a good wash.
Okay.
Be careful, you'll throw us out of here.
Yeah, you cleaned it up for that.
You're talking a lot of nooks and crannies.
Give it a bath with a photo, huh?
Thank you.
Okay, that's all the new business. Moving on to old business. We have resolution 1817 sidewalk repair for Hosmer Street. Have discussion on this?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I got some discussion.
Yeah, I have discussion, I don't know what point to chime in or not.
Why not?
Why not? Just,
Do you want me to start it?
yeah, you start.
Okay. As far as I'm concerned, now I went back and read the sidewalk ordinance is the first thing I did. And in that sidewalk ordinance, it does state that the homeowner is responsible for the sidewalk in front of his property. And the only time you're not responsible for that sidewalk is if you have a tree that has raised up the sidewalk, then we are responsible if the tree is on our property or in the right of way or whatever you want to call it. We then remove the tree and we will put in the slabs just for the cement that was raised by that tree. Other than that, the homeowner is responsible. We can go along and say, your sidewalk is raised right there, you need to fix it. And you have so many days to fix it, and if you don't, we will fix it and put it on your taxes. That's what our ordinance is for sidewalks. And then I have the experience with the proposal that we put out there for helping people to fix sidewalks, because I think it was probably 20 years ago, 25 years ago, we were having some problems with sidewalks and they were raising, and we felt bad that we were gonna tell people to go out there and fix that sidewalk. So we came up with a sidewalk replacement proposal. It was never put into the ordinance or anything, it was just a proposal that was out there. And we offered, the idea at the time was to have the homeowner get bids, and then we would look at those bids, and I believe Tito, and I'm not sure if you were here then, Don, or not, but they would actually pour the forms for the sidewalks, take them out and pour them, and actually the homeowner ended up paying for the cement, and our contribution was in kind in the form of the labor that was done.
The way
If they were just 2 or 3 squares of sidewalk that we were
The
doing.
way I remember it was the village had actually hired a contractor and had a set price, and you had to go through him.
Oh, you're right, his name was Mike.
Well, Ricky Carrington had it at one time.
He had it at one time, and then that guy that died out there on Carr Road by you,
They had a,
that guy that lived across the street up in the hill.
Al?
No, yes, it was Novak.
Oh, Mike Novak.
He had the bids after that. You're right, you're right.
Yeah, they had a qualified contractor,
Yeah.
and then you made an application, and if you were approved,
They did it.
yeah.
And that was in the budget for quite a while. I think it was $5,000 we had budgeted for that. And then it's not in this year's budget. I don't know if it was in last year's budget or not.
It was.
It was?
It was. Yeah.
It's not in this year's budget, so as far as I'm concerned as a council member, it no longer exists. And if we want to do it again, we should do it over again and decide how we want to do this, what we want to offer, what we're willing to pay. But as far as Mrs. McClure, no. Because she, number one, didn't follow whatever our rules were. We don't even know what they were anymore. I don't know who told her she could go ahead with this and do this way. She was misinformed because nobody asked me about it at the time, or anybody else I don't think had a telephone call along here to ask if this was still in effect. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm sorry, but it's a no, because I don't think we were in the business of replacing 2 streets of sidewalks for anybody. That program was set up to replace problems,
2 or 3 slabs.
to minimize the liability in the village, and do 2 or 3 at a time and fix them. So as far as the ordinance goes, if you've got a tree and you've got broken up sidewalk, yes, we are responsible for that. That's in our ordinance that way, but not this other one, no.
If the
And-
tree's
and-
on the right of way.
If the tree's on the right of way, yeah, it can't be on your side of the sidewalk doing the same thing.
Which is what mine was, the one that was cut down today. And,
Oh, it was cut down today?
yeah,
Okay.
I was told there's a bucket truck in my yard and I zipped
Did you
home,
read the other
so,
note on there?
I didn't see the note, I didn't.
yeah.
Okay, I.
But-
Not on it.
Yeah,
What do you
I
think?
looked at that ordinance too, and I did go back
Okay.
and follow my own
That's good.
instructions, read the ordinance, you know, I'm always, and I hadn't, and I did look at that. And it does provide in there that the council can decide
Yes.
by resolution to go ahead and to do something different. We don't have the procedure down, and I have a problem with, we don't know who told Mrs. McClure what, when, and where, all right? I don't know how that went, all right? I don't have enough information on Jim's issue either, do you know what I mean? I mean, Jim has provided us with this, but I always think everything has to be backed up and we have to have some little substantial proof. My suggestion, and this is my suggestion, is that we're gonna have to do something with the new budget anyway to fix this, right? Because we can't just be
If we want
taking, if we want to, if we decide to do that. But my suggestion is that we table this thing. We table both sidewalk issues until we talk about this in the budget, and that we get a system going. We have a new DPW man, you know, and we have a manager that hasn't dealt with this before, that we get a system going where we know how it's going to go. And so that, you know, because, yeah, I went over to look at Mrs. McClure's property. That is like, you can't call that sidewalk repair. That is like huge, gigantic.
Yeah, it's brand new.
Brand new
It's
sidewalk.
Brand new
Okay.
sidewalk all the way. But, so I question how much of that even would have been a concern. But my point of it, and I like to have everything backed up, I like to have my information, as we know. That I don't feel like I have enough information at this point to vote. I don't feel comfortable voting one way or another until I have all this. my ducks
Nobody
in a row.
really seen the sidewalk before they took it out, did they?
Yeah.
We saw it before they took it out. You could see that it needed to be replaced.
There was a couple sections on like Fulton that were bad, but the parts on Hosmer were not.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
the prerogative of the homeowner who wanted it to look good.
And see, I've walked around, because I've complained about mine for years, and I walked around every spring. I would walk around and look at the sidewalks, and Ronnie across the road would walk, because he had his replaced when the water main broke. And he had to pay for some of that, because some of it was his problem. But, that was years before, and that's when it started. I was like, well, let's start getting mine done. And I was told, no, we don't have money in
Yeah,
there. And that's, I know it's separate, but
No,
so
it's
we
not
would walk
separate. I
around.
was
We would
told-
walk around and look at them, and there was no, I mean, there's bad sidewalks all over town. There is, but there was none with a 6-inch or 4-inch lip that the kids are using for a ramp, and they literally do. So over at hers, yeah, there was some areas, and you could see from the 2009 Google pics that I pulled up, there was some divots, there was some cracks, but there was no massive heaving, which is what I would consider dangerous. I mean, they're all cracked, there's a lot of old sidewalks.
Yes, there were.
But from what you're just saying and what's in there, it's like I said before, I was never asking for any money. I just want the other half fixed, and if that's from that tree that's heaved it, which it is, I mean, when you pull that up, you're gonna see huge roots. Then I don't care, just fix that one. And on hers, it looks great. Hers looks beautiful, it's a gorgeous sidewalk. If we have any estimate on how much of it actually needed to be replaced, I'd have no problem doing a cost share on some of it, but the whole thing, an entire block of
Corner,
sidewalk
yeah.
is,
I have a problem because it was done after the fact.
it was.
Yes.
And see,
Yeah.
see, that's all
But
bothers
see-
me, because you can't have a situation
No.
where people do the thing, and then they come to us and
No
say,
money.
now here, you have to pay for this, I'm uncomfortable with what has been the procedure, do you understand
I
what I'm
am
saying?
too, but I'm looking at it from both sides. I've asked for years as a citizen, and I was told, no, there's no program, there's no money.
No.
Now wait, and I was
Now
told
wait.
there's no money, and she was
I-
told, yeah, go ahead and fill it out and send it in.
But
There is a
you're
program.
saying who told you that? And I'm saying I called him on the phone and he said, no, what we were talking about was the curb and gutter. That you asked him about the curb and gutter. And he said, no, there's no money for curb and gutter. When we did,
No, I asked him on that too, but when we
Yeah.
walked the sidewalk, he came over with his truck, pulled in, and I showed him, and he says no, and then the next day there was a patch on it. And then 2 years later, when I
They
complained,
patched it
there was
for you.
another patch, and they spray painted it orange. And then this last time, which was when Pat was here, they tore off the patch and put that one on there that's now, which is now a 4-inch lip.
okay, I don't know what Pat did,
Yeah.
I just know what Hal did.
But I'm
And-
saying that I asked the officials in charge, there's no reason for me to question them. I asked the officials in charge, she asked somebody that said, yes, there's a program.
I don't think.
Well,
We-
I don't
we
know,
asked.
I don't know how she found out.
But
I don't
anyway,
know.
my point of it is, we don't have enough information to make a decision on this,
Well, I
and I
think
think
we
we
do.
need
I
to.
do.
I think we do have enough information that was done after the fact. We
Yep.
have nothing in our budget for it, and it's not a program until we make it a program again.
The
I mean,
thing,
that's where I stand with it.
I don't think she should get her sidewalk paid for it all.
I think what might
Not
have
one
been
bit.
bad on that sidewalk was all of those huge pieces of equipment driving over the sidewalk to dig the holes. I mean, that could have caused some
Might be too.
problems.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah?
I
That
did
might
have a
have been
question on that, because of the construction.
No, no, you were there, you
live
live next door. There was a lot of equipment in there digging those
They
holes.
did destroy some of it, but I'm sure they thought, they knew they were gonna replace it one way or another.
Well, if she got that bid in March, she knew she was gonna replace the whole thing anyway.
Yeah, and should she have not?
I don't wanna tell you what to
opened the
do,
Well,
but,
yeah,
I talked to Mr. Geyers back there, he said it doesn't matter what the village does, they were gonna do it anyway.
yeah.
And that's where we were.
Mhm.
It crumbled, so we were just like, yeah,
Well,
I'm
that's
not
what
gonna,
most people do.
I'm not
you
gonna
know?
stop and halt everybody and make them take the equipment
Mhm.
away, we're just gonna replace it. You know?
Yeah, they did destroy some of it, equipment.
Mm-hmm.
the thing that bothers me is the procedure on how these two are happening. It's too bad we didn't see the damage before everything was done,
Yeah,
and that bothers me.
I think Diane is on the right track, we need to get people together and come up with a policy, how we do things, what the parameters are.
yeah, I'm all for
I-
that, but
I
I don't
agree with
think she
that.
ought to get anything.
But I don't think she could, she's after the fact.
Yeah, I'm saying away from her. she-
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, Don and I were talking, we think that we should get together
absolutely.
with the Public Works Committee and come up with
And
a.
it needs to be done where there's specs in there. Like, you will do a 4-inch sidewalk, you will do
Well, that's in the
a
ordinance.
3-foot where there
Yeah.
is, but
Yeah.
some places there's 3-foot sidewalks and some places they're 4. So are we gonna make them replace a 4, or are we gonna make
Well,
them
it
replace
talks
a?
Well,
about
we-
that has to be commensurate, I think.
Does it? Okay.
We might wanna think about updating that too, cause I believe the ADA requirements is 5 feet
Yeah.
wide.
5 foot.
Well, and that's the other thing over there. She didn't put those little thingies in that are supposed to be
The
Oh,
put
the
in
crosswalk.
joiners.
at the corners. Yeah.
The what?
or
The
cross-
things for
Handicap
blind
ramps.
people,
the
those
Oh,
little
yeah,
thingies,
those-
those little
Nubbies.
bubbles,
Bubble, cement.
nubbies
they're not
at
in the
corner.
crosswalks.
And they have to be on all new sidewalks.
They're in all ours. We had to
Right,
redo them
right.
all.
And they do have to be, I think, what is it, American Disability Center?
Yeah.
Yeah, idiot.
I think definitely is if you use grant money or something, you do
Mhm.
have to do those. I'm not
Or if
sure.
you're a
But-
town.
Yeah.
But
We
could
had to redo 'em all
the
the time.
DPW every spring just make a quick trip around, just to note the worst ones and just so we know? I mean, it would only take a quick drive around and look.
I'm sure we could look.
Yeah.
at it.
Well, we
I mean,
had
that
them
would
at
help.
one time
That would
do
help.
do the yellow marks.
Yeah.
Like, this needs to be
Yeah,
fixed.
mine had a
Generally,
bright
yeah.
orange.
I bet it did.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of
Huge.
coming up with a set of standards.
Mhm,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm all for that, yeah.
Me too. I don't think she should get anything. That's my opinion.
Well, we don't have a consensus on what it is we should do then, really.
No, not,
Yeah, I can put it in a consensus form. In the form of a motion, and you can tell me if it's good or not. I make a motion, we turn down the McClure request and the McPhail request due to the lack of funds available right now, and that we take the DPW committee, get together with Don and Matt and formulate a new sidewalk program, if you're so inclined to do that, that has specs, paperwork, and a way to do it.
and,
And stay in conformance with the current sidewalk
and I
plan that
think,
we
yeah,
have.
and not only
in
that,
there.
well, Matt said it's gotta be 5 feet now, but, I mean, and I think they ought to have it done either by village or by a reputable contractor.
Well, we'll tell them who
Yeah.
that would be part of putting the proposal together.
Yeah. When we go to the committee, we'll get all this stuff together, put it together, and then it'll come to council as a proposal, and you guys will decide yay or nay, or change this. Or,
Well, that actually is in the ordinance that we have, it talks about it has to be, but done by a contractor with, certain
It does say
specifications.
that, and this is just an offer to help pay, if we think we have the money to do that. If not,
So
it stands.
the current ordinance, we do have an ordinance, but there's just no, there's no money to back it up right now. We
No,
just
no,
didn't-
No.
According to the ordinance, if you go, okay, the big black ordinance book, okay, there's a section called streets, sidewalks, and other public places. Go in that section, then the section on sidewalks, you read it. Basically, that ordinance says that sidewalks are the responsibility of the homeowner, period, right? It talks later about, if we have trouble with a tree on the village right of way, then the village takes care of that section of sidewalk. And it does say that the council can decide by resolution to, basically to set up something else, you know, to pay for the sidewalks. And I remember when this sidewalk thing was put in, because I was on the planning commission, and we talked about it, trying to make it easier for people. But it was dropped out, I don't remember when,
Well, for
because
lack of anybody using it.
nobody ever used it, so that the council's putting money in the budget, putting money in the budget, putting money in the budget, and then so finally it became, well, why are we gonna do this if nobody is ever coming to us with that? So that dropped out, so the plan that we're talking about doesn't exist anymore.
But now, just for information, this last couple weeks, I've called around, and I know there was a discussion on who has this program and who doesn't. Breckenridge, they're both villages, Breckenridge and Merrill. Breckenridge doesn't have a cost, or, they have a cost share, is what they have, where they send somebody out, assess it, and then they decide who pays and what amount. Merrill does not have one. If you have a problem, they send somebody out. If you meet the requirements, they replace it. Citizens don't pay. Just, so if you need somebody to talk to on either one of those for,
So they just do repairs though?
no,
This,
no, they said that if it, in their email to me, it said that if it's a repair or replacement, if it meets the requirements, then they take care of it. But if it, Breckenridge, has a cost share. If it needs
Okay.
something, then they split it with the homeowner. Merrill pays for it.
Yeah,
Well-
and see, we have a history here, because I remember a time when people were assessed, they were told, and that was down, wasn't it down Bell Avenue, Kenny, do you remember when that happened? It was, I think it was down in there someplace, when the sidewalks were bad, and the village said they had to be repaired, and everybody along through there had to pay for that all the way
Yes.
through.
Yep.
So, you know, so anybody who had to pay for that is gonna come and be very upset, you know what I mean, if
Well,
they're still around there.
I had to pay for one. I had, the school decided they needed a wider sidewalk down Maple Street, and we lived on Maple Street. And they wanted a 5-foot sidewalk, and they came to us and said, you have to pay for 4 foot of it, and the school's gonna pick up the extra foot. And I was here, I didn't work here or anything then, I was just really ticked. And I came down here and fought that tooth and nail, and we paid for the sidewalk. So, yeah, that's the way it goes.
Well, I don't think.
It's still there today, it's a nice
Yeah.
sidewalk,
Yeah,
but it was right by my front window.
I don't
mean,
have a problem with,
It's your
and I don't think a lot of
paperwork.
people have a problem with paying for, your half. I don't.
It was no half, I paid
Yeah.
for the whole thing.
But there's gotta
Except
be
the
something in
extra
place,
foot.
yeah.
So your motion didn't get a second?
We have a
did
motion
it?
on
No,
the
it's
floor.
on the floor.
Okay.
Do we have a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried.
Did you get that motion, Jane?
I got part of it, but I know it's,
It's
it
recorded.
is recorded, so I can listen to it tomorrow morning.
Moving on to the department reports, DPW report. Anybody have any questions of Mr. Don?
Any mops?
Recently. Some grease, but no else.
Where'd the grease come from?
That's good. Wherever. That accumulates in the lift stations.
Did your guys decorated the waterfowl observatory then?
Yeah.
That looks
They
nice.
do a nice job.
It was very nice, cause I
Yeah.
noticed that night when we went by, I thought, man, that was, I didn't know who had done it.
It looks
Yeah.
nice
Can I
out
get
here.
some lights on my tower
Yeah.
over there?
Looks nice outside the village office. Did you
Up on
guys
top?
do
If
that?
you'll climb it.
Not
Did you
anymore.
do outside the village office too?
Used to,
Tom?
but
Yeah.
not anymore.
They did, it's nice out there,
A
yeah.
couple of the pictures that I had included were of the sidewalk down by Hosmer in Saginaw.
That looks nice.
And after that rain, that December
'Cause I have this thing
second,
that's gonna do
or
them right,
I
yeah.
think it was, I
Oh,
sent them
yeah.
in, they're all dated. But the water was almost a foot deep coming up off of Hosmer. I think that, and it's like the 3rd or 4th time that drain on the corner plugged. And I went down there and I couldn't see anything in there.
No, no.
No, and it was coming right up and it was going right up under the gate up on Diane Hendrickson's.
Was that big rain we had?
Well, it was, but then 2 hours later I went out and it was still
It had
8, 10
drained
inches
away.
deep. So I went down there and I tried sticking my hand down in and I couldn't, leaves or mud, and there was nothing in there, but it wasn't. And then I went out like 2 hours later and it was completely gone, but it sat, so, and it's not the first time, so I don't know if there's something in there that
Well, that's
Bugs
a bad
easy.
street that needs to
Yeah.
be fixed
You're in the
anyway. that
floodplain.
side
I know,
street.
I know.
You should have
But I don't
bought-
usually see that, we don't usually see the
Yeah.
side flood down there, just the last couple times.
They cleaned it up.
Sometimes they're slow and sometimes they get sand in them, and sometimes
Yeah, that's what I was wondering with all the digging and stuff, maybe it got sand down in
it's
there.
entirely possible.
Yeah.
I do have a question, this MRWA lead and copper update, you know, I have a bug about that. Did you go to a meeting in Grand Rapids?
Me and Matt did, yes.
Okay, what was the outcome of that?
Wasn't really an outcome, it was an update on a lot of municipalities, they are filing, I won't go into news, they should file a lawsuit against the MDEQ today,
Yeah, today. they did it.
challenging their authority to impose these rules.
Yeah, part of the rule actually forces us to violate the state constitution if you read it a particular way, and
Wait.
you know,
You know, that's private property that they're gonna say that we have to tear up. Now, I don't see how does the state really wanna go there? You know.
They do.
They do. They're
But I
going
mean,
there.
you know, it's, to me, this is wrong. It is just pure plain wrong. Any way you wanna look at it, the cost of it. you
Well,
know,
not
everything
anyway,
else.
because as a municipality, it's gonna bankrupt everybody.
Yeah, it
As a
is.
citizen, in an old 18, my house was what, 1912? Come on in and
Probably.
tear it up,
Yep.
dig them lead pipes out, man,
Yep.
you're paying for them. So it's good for the older houses, but it's gonna
Except
bankrupt.
they're not going
the-
inside, and now they're saying they need to go inside.
Sorry,
Yeah.
oh, boy.
So,
Yeah.
I mean,
It's a terrible mess for everybody.
18
It
inches
is.
inside, and you say that come in because you're paying for it, but guess what? It's gonna show up in your water.
It is,
For sure.
yeah.
oh, absolutely.
Pay for it in the long run.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna pay for it.
The system would bear the cost if it
Mhm.
comes.
Yeah.
Well, it has to.
What was that? Just went by.
I think it's gonna be
Always doing
litigated, but they
counties.
also asked that,
Oh, it's supposed to be free.
Yeah.
Matt, weren't they asking if we could send a letter to, there was some organization that we are against it as a municipality?
Yeah, they're trying to work through the process to make sure that once they get to the litigation, it actually goes, because, you know, a lot of times if you just go straight to a lawsuit, the judge may say, well, what did you try? There's administrative remedies, did you try those? So they're just going from one thing to the next, making sure that they're crossing their T's and dotting their I's, and one thing that they wanted to do was have all the big utilities file some paperwork with the DEQ saying basically, we don't agree with it, and you should, you know, review it and then not do it. But the DEQ denied everybody's request, so now they're on to this new step in the process, which is
Do you know
filing
why they're
those.
filing it? Are they filing it in state court and where, or are they filing it in federal court?
There is some special administrative court that
Oh,
they're
wonderful.
using in Lansing. Because there's a step before the big court that they have to do in order to have standing, so. And I don't know how all that works, but they're going from step to step.
I've also heard that on the other end of that no matter what happens with this, like the lead paint houses, FHA and all them HUD, they're gonna start putting stipulations, you have to guarantee you don't have any lead pipes, which means if you ever wanna sell my house, I'm gonna have to dig it up anyways.
Yeah.
But
can't give that guarantee.
That'll be your expense.
It
Well,
will,
That won't
but
be
they're gonna
public
keep flipping it, they're
expense,
gonna keep
yeah.
flipping
Yeah.
it so that it's
Lead-based
gonna get
paint,
taken
though,
care
they
of one
they
way or
backed off
another.
with lead-based paint. If it's painted with something else,
Over, you can
you
coat
can,
it,
you
right?
can
Yeah.
get by with it, but, because I did that with the housing
Yeah.
program, we ran into a lot of lead-based paint, so.
One of the frustrations you read when you see these articles or you hear from the professional organizations is they overlook the fact that a lot of the lead levels in these places are due to the plumbing inside the house. There's nothing that addresses the plumbing inside the house. They're saying, oh, it must be the utilities' responsibility, when in reality it's a lot of the solder that's in the pipes that were put in the houses many years ago. So that's a frustration because they're just kind of ignoring that fact
Mhm.
and putting it on us.
Matt, did we ever get anything back from the DEQ for this, digging up?
That's another frustration. We've been getting grant money from the state for the environmental cleanup stuff, so they've been paying for our reports that we've been doing and some of the testing that they've had. But the state, so the person that was on the case for the state retired. They replaced that person. then that person has now moved on and they put a new person in place, so that person is not up to speed with our case either. So
So we just
we're
hang
literally
back and
just
wait.
kind of in limbo. We've done everything
You know,
that we can do.
as long as we do everything we're supposed to do, it might just all go away.
Aren't they in the same office building as consumers?
Yeah, yeah.
They probably have the same administrative staff. Yeah, we're doing
wondering.
everything we need
Just
to do.
wondering.
You know, we can't start doing we're ready to do the digging and hauling and all that stuff, but we can't start doing it until the DEQ approves our plan. So
But
we're
it's been down
just-
there like a year.
it's been a
Yeah.
long time.
Yeah, it's been a
I
long
think this
time.
came up
And the guy
August.
was gonna have it on the 14th of the month when he does it.
We've never seen that guy again.
No, never
I
again.
just saw the
He made
DEQ
a lot
was
of
over in
promises.
St. Louis again. Did you see that? What's going on with that?
The DEQ
Oh, is that?
in St. Louis?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're still cleaning up the Velsicol site.
Yeah,
I just seen a
that's
blip
from
on the news
years
about
ago.
Yeah,
that.
they're actually heating up the ground now and,
To do extraction?
capturing the vapors.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
That's been a
Okay.
long time.
Just a question.
Yeah. It's a frustration, you know, you contact them and they say, oh, we haven't heard back from the state. And then he actually called me to give me the bad news that the state now has a new person on our case. It's like, okay.
Have you kept in touch with the people behind us so they know what's going on?
Yeah, we talk to them here and
Okay.
there, but generally
I
they'll,
think it's a good idea to keep them updated, just to let them know
yeah.
the reason it's not being done. I can't think of their names anymore.
Passes.
Hassies,
Hassies,
yeah.
Yeah. Them poor people. Jeez.
Let's move on to this Spicer report.
Well, I think you all have a copy of my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
I just have one question. Your report keeps saying that you met with the village. When you say you met with the village, who do you meet with when you meet?
Usually it's Matt or Matt and Don.
Okay.
It just depends on which project.
Any questions from this gentleman?
Nope.
Well, you got off easy.
Well, thank you.
Sit here for all that
You had to
time
wait
that,
for
huh?
all of that, yeah.
Jeez. Police department report?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
That incident that happened in Chesney, was that last week, the shooting? According to what I read in our papers, we had 2 people on at the same time? Two
Yeah.
people from St. Charles? Why are we working 2 people at the same time?
But it, just every now and then we have a shift that overlaps.
There's a kind of mid shift, we've been, utilizing a 3-to-1 shift.
Okay, and was that on a Sunday night? Or was it during the week?
I thought it was during the week, but.
I did
It was.
too.
I wanna say
It
it
was.
was, I wanna say it was,
Was it
Okay.
during the
I was
week?
there.
I wanna say it was
Okay.
a Tuesday maybe?
Okay,
I believe so.
Yeah.
so sometimes you just overlap them.
There's like 2, at the most 3 days a week where that happens.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
we,
sometimes it's only 1 or sometimes it's none.
Well, I was just wondering because
and we try to move it around so people don't know when they're on and off.
that I understand, but we were told we didn't have enough people to cover all the shifts, so why are we overlapping?
Well, we do have enough people now.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
we've got, yeah, we've got we have a decent crew now.
Okay.
How many hour shifts do they work?
10.
So it's 4 days a week?
For the full-timers, the part-timers can't work more than 30. I think most of them are working 30, a couple of them are not.
Yeah, they work a couple days a week typically.
We have some new people too, right?
We do, yes.
Were you at the incident on Flint Street a week ago Sunday,
Which one is that, Dave?
where the?
Oh, the
family
messed up
got in a
house.
fight?
Oh, no, that was the weekend, that was your 628.
Cause that was at that house. His sons got in a fight with the father.
I didn't
They
hear
wanted
about
all-
it.
During church.
They wanted
Ooh.
all of Dad's crap out of their yard and put it in his yard.
Oh, well, I didn't hear about it.
I didn't either.
So it's getting worse.
It's going between the 2 Rittenbergs, the 2 houses.
But the kids are trying to keep theirs clean.
Yeah.
Dad's stuff just keeps migrating over this way.
That's patch, right?
I think that's in progress, so we
Yes.
probably shouldn't talk about that a lot, right? If we have something in progress.
That we do.
That's this one.
Yeah, I know.
Is it 26?
Okay, building inspector report?
What is the zoning issue on Bob Burns? What is that zoning? What is that?
I believe they split their parcel so that the neighbor next door could have access to their pole barn or something. Because they're selling their parcel, they were splitting part of it, so the guy didn't have to back out onto M52.
That should have come in your packet.
I know.
Okay. So that's something that just happens administratively?
Yeah. Lot splits happen that Rob Kehoe handles those administratively.
Is it his home?
Yeah.
No,
No,
it's
no.
on
No,
our
it's
side.
at,
It's over here.
It's right across the street.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the accounting firm right there on the corner.
Okay.
So he still owns that building?
For now, I think he's trying to sell it.
Okay.
McDonald's bought it.
No, this one right here. Well, McDonald's and Associates are there.
Yeah.
I don't think they bought the building. Here.
Code enforcement report, any questions on that?
I think we've already talked pretty much about what's on there. We've already talked pretty much
Yeah.
about what's on there. Flint Street situation.
Do I hear a motion to accept the departmental reports?
I'll make a motion.
Support?
I'll support.
All those in favor?
All right?
Those opposed? Motion's carried. Public comment, we have any more? Mr. Coots, you have 3 minutes.
You know who that is.
This, I think it's a public comment
Mhm.
before and after is different, because how you gonna talk about something that hasn't been talked about yet? And then the last one is you're talking after, right after it's done. I got 2 things. One thing on the sidewalks, that sidewalk there on Walnut Street, the past village manager didn't want one in front of his house, didn't want to pay for it.
Not a village manager. No, not a village manager.
Yes,
A
yes,
village president.
well, village president.
There's a difference.
Oh, I'm sorry, village president. Didn't want to pay for one in front of his house, so they painted lines out in the road to make the kids walk up the road rather than between the 2 sidewalks. There is 2 sidewalks there, go out there. Then you come around and you put in front of people's houses a sidewalk, tell them they're paying for that sidewalk, whether they want it or not, and then if it goes bad, they have to pay to fix it. When the sewers are put in, you're paying for the sewer, and then the village maintains it afterwards. And I feel the same way. If you're gonna make me put a sidewalk in, I have no problem. But then you maintain it after that. That's the one thing. The other thing is a shootout in Chestnut. I pay for sheriff department, I pay for state police, I pay for police here. Now that's what the sheriff department and the state police is for, to take care of outside stuff, not my stuff in my village. My village is left open while they go take a bunch of crap over in Chestnut. If that's the way me, I think do away with the police department here, we don't need it. Anytime we have problems, get somebody else to come in and take care of the problems here. Our police department stays in this. If you got a national emergency, fine. But I believe on police, there is a code, just like there is on people lost or whatever, different stages. Yellow, red, whatever. And so I don't, we're gonna pay for all these cops, we're gonna stay here. let the sheriff department, let the state police, let Chestnut take care of their own police over there, not us.
I completely disagree with that because our police officer here aided life-saving support for a female that got shot.
What?
Our police officer here saved her life.
Oh, boy.
I was there. I was on that medical call
And
on
this
my
is bad.
MMR unit.
Where's all the other police force? I'm not paying for another community's police.
Kenny.
Ken.
Ken,
She's got a
Ken.
question.
no, I don't have a question.
Oh.
We have an agreement in place, I believe.
Mutual aid.
It's called a mutual aid agreement. And if that same thing were to happen here, all of those police would come here. And it wasn't just our police department that went there. I believe everybody's police department went there, am I
There was.
right?
Yes, yes.
And that's an agreement we have with every community within the county of Saginaw. So that when there's and that was a shooting going on, and I believe it was still going on. And so every police officer goes, and ours just happened to be the first. And is it true, Chesney didn't even have anybody on that night?
Quite common, they don't have anybody on, and we're the closest people.
But that's just life, Kenny. If
No, it's not.
yeah,
that.
it is because.
Why should I pay for them? They're a bigger community.
But why
They have more money than this community. Why should I pay for a police force to take care of them?
Okay.
Kenny?
Thank
but-
you for your comment.
Yes, but they do the same thing for us. They've been over here.
They don't need to.
Chesney has came over
Yeah.
here on mutual
We
aid
might
call.
need to.
I've had Chestnut come to my house. I think it was 4 years back. I have a bay window in my living room, and I had a gentleman standing in my backyard with a gun. I was home alone with my 3 children. I called 911. We didn't have anybody on. I had a Chestnut unit respond to my house with their K9 unit.
Okay.
Chestnut.
That's been going on for quite a few years.
And they were the closest.
Where's the sheriff's department and the state police?
There's only 2 cars out. Isn't there only 2 cars out?
Sometimes there's, it matters, but sometimes there's only 3 for the whole county. Usually it's more like 5 or 6, so
Okay.
sometimes there's only 3. But when something happens in Chestnut and no one, Chestnut is working, even if there was, it's only gonna be 1 person at a time of night. So it's, without St. Charles to respond, the backup for Chestnut would be 15 minutes.
Well, I have friends that live on 52, and they said they've never seen so many police cars go by their house
I know.
as that night. Oh, you're out there.
We had a
yeah.
lot. We had Meryl
And you
was out
should,
there.
and you
We
should.
had everybody out there.
I'm sure Tommy's.
But I will give mad props to our police officer here because she saved that woman's life. Her alone.
Sheriff's department in this community, who's taking care of it when they're all going up themselves?
Unfortunately,
Chestnut don't
nobody.
even have anybody. Why is that? I
don't
believe
know.
in helping other people out,
We-
yes.
We don't have any
I've never
control over
done
that.
that.
We don't have any control over their administration over there. But,
Well, we
that-
have to
this
follow-
mutual
I
mutual
think
aid
we
is-
need more police here then, all of them.
this
We
mutual,
don't need any.
Can I ask, the
this
police chief a
mutual aid's
question?
been going on for a long time.
Does that call come from 911? Does 911 call our police officers and say,
Who calls them
Yeah,
for
who called
mutual
them?
aid?
We do those, if there's no one on in Chestnut, they'll put the call out to the county cars. Sometimes the officers will pipe up on their own and say, I can head to that, something like that. A shooting is pretty serious, and they're gonna ask for us anyway.
okay, so they would add,
And
911 would
sometimes,
ask.
but
anyway.
usually Central will say to the St. Charles unit, can you head also? And even if there was a Chestnut car that night, one officer is not gonna be able to handle that by
No.
themselves. I think they thought they had a barricaded gun in that at one point, which turned out not to be the case, but.
In this day and age, you don't know, when there's a shooting, you don't know if there's, one person with a gun or one person with one of those AR, whatever they are, that's shooting a lot of people.
There's a lot of things that have to be done when you get there. The scene has to be secured.
Yeah.
First, the victims have to be tended to. The medical won't even come in
No.
until the police say it's safe to come in.
Well, I heard she was dragged out to you.
We set up, our 2 units outside of Showboat Park. We had our landing zone at the airport, but we couldn't go in until the police physically brought both females to us.
Mhm.
And then it was a load and go into our ambulance to the airport where they were both flight carried out.
Can I ask you this question? If we respond to something like that, do then they have to stay there until the end of it, or can they
No,
leave
once-
when they're done?
Once they get enough of the cavalry there between the state and the, unless they got involved in it
County.
somehow that they can't
Right.
leave. But once there's enough of the state and county there, they can clear.
So once she was done, she came back.
Yes.
So they don't stay there the whole time.
There's no, I wouldn't see why they would have to.
Okay.
It's not unless they like form up on a team or
Or they
something.
did something that needs to be reported.
Where in her case, yeah, she probably was there because
Yeah, she was dragging
Yeah,
people.
she,
once the victims
she
are,
physically saved one of my patient's life.
Okay.
once the victims are loaded up and on the way to the hospital and the county's crime scene, people are taking over, there's no reason for them to be there.
Okay.
Anyone else? Yes, Mary?
I just wanna, tell you
Please,
how,
please step up to the podium.
I just wanna tell you how our, Christmas thing turned out. And, we had a great time Friday night. I wanna thank the DPW department and the police department and everything. We had a great time. Friday night was great. We ran out of cookies, we ran out of drinks, and everything
Drinks.
was really nice. We lit the Christmas tree and everybody was happy. There was a lot of people that, Matt run the hayride, and there was just lines and lines of
Lines,
people
yeah.
to ride the hayride, and we had the petting zoo, and that went over really good, and
Burning
Saturday, we had, the cookie decorating and the Santa Claus and the parade, and
But it
everything went,
rained. Too
went
bad
really
it
good. Yeah, but
rained.
it only started raining like,
quit.
When you
it
were
quit
done?
around 4 o'clock, and then it didn't rain again until like 6:30,
Mhm.
so that was really good, so, and everything went really good, and
It
I
was
just wanted
really
you
nice.
to know that it went.
Well, thank you for all the work you do.
Yeah,
with
thank
that.
you for all
That
the
was
work
good. I
you do.
appreciate you guys.
Money
You gonna do that
Yeah.
again next year?
Well, I hope so. I
Okay.
hope we do it next year. I hope it turns out just as, I hope it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And Matt, got, KCQ to come out and do the radio thing, and the DDA paid for all that, and so, and everybody contributed, and it made it turn out just great.
Good.
So, I thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
W?
Any further? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
We'll let
Support.
Diane do that. Support. Support. Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
He's adjourned.